This is Tony T here from Tony'sPicks.com with our college football pick show. This will be for Saturday's games. This will be Week 9, Part 4. We'll have them all done for Saturday after this. For more free pick videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Lots of free picks over our channel delivered by myself, as well as our team of cappers here at Tony'sPicks.com. Make it a great channel to subscribe to. Hit us up with that like, that thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Then visit our site, Tony'sPicks.com. We're a multi-capper site showcasing our top performers in our industry. Click the link to the hot cappers, get signed up to long-term passes. You see our top performers up there, guys like Sean Higgs, Rod DeAndre, guys you know from our live show, as well as a YouTube video. Brian Biller, top of the Thursday leaderboard. So is Brian Palmer's been on absolute fire right now. Kevin Thomas up there, doubles. You see all these guys on our YouTube videos, as well as the live shows. Ramon Scott, the big day, latest picks here, send the page with best bets and more. We will be locked and loaded here for this card on Friday. Remember, all of our one-day passes, profit guaranteed, and they must turn a profit or amount purchased will be credited back to your account for site credits. That's profit guaranteed. Then our promo code TonyT at checkout will knock off that 15%. The link is in the description to get signed up. So let's get this one underway. Right, we got Louisiana and Troy here for Saturday. Louisiana fell to 2-5 after their 22-10 home defeat to Southern Miss. Raging Cajuns were limited through the air and rushed for 217 yards for 4.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 3.2 yards a carry with 237 yards passing for 13 yards per pass attempt. The starter and backup are hurt here. Third string Landon Graves relieved, going at 1 of 4 for 7 yards. Troy now 5-2 with their 37-14 road win at UL Monroe. Trojans rushed for 81 yards for 2.9 yards a carry, but they're efficient in their passing game. Eventually, they held the Warhawks to 3.4 yards a carry with 228 yards passing for 5.5 yards per pass attempt. Braylon Braxton at 13 of 18 passing for 237 yards with a touchdown and a pick. Louisiana quarterback situation is a massive concern here. Troy has won and covered 4 straight. Louisiana has lost all 3 road games. The Raging Cajuns defensively on the road, allowing 37 points per game with 5.7 yards per rush, 67% completion rate. They're getting bad quarterback play on the road. The Trojans at home against the conference put up 39 points per game and getting great work at quarterback. Pick here Troy minus 9.5. Stanford and Miami going off here on Saturday. We got Stanford now 3-4 after a 20-13 home victory against Florida State. The Cardinals were limited through the air and rushed for 122 yards for 2.9 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 3.1 yards per rush to the Seminoles, with 311 yards passing for 8.9 yards per pass attempt. Ben Bronson, a knee injury, left the game. He is questionable here. Elijah Brown, 6 of 12 passing for 71 yards. Miami fell to 5-1 with a 24-21 home defeat to Louisville. The Hurricanes had a good passing performance, but rushed for 63 yards for 2.6 yards per rush. They allowed 3.8 yards per rush to the Cardinals, with 248 yards passing for 6.7 yards per pass attempt. Carson Beck here, 25 of 35 passing for 271 yards and 4 picks. The Stanford quarterback situation is a concern. Miami has defended well at home. On the road, the Cardinal rushed for only 2.4 yards a carry and getting inaccurate quarterback play. Hurricanes at home limit teams at 2.9 yards per rush and 6.2 yards per pass attempt. Cardinals have gone under in 2 straight. They will struggle to score here with a backup quarterback on the road. Miami 3-1 to the under against losing teams. Pick here Stanford, Miami, under 45.5. Georgia Southern and Arkansas State going off on Saturday. Georgia Southern here is 3-4 after a 41-24 home victory against Georgia State. The Eagles had movement in the passing game and rushed for 208 yards for 5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 4.8 yards a carry with 280 yards passing for 7.4 yards per pass attempt. C.J. French in the game, 17 of 25 passing for 210 yards and 3 touchdowns. He rushed for 85 yards and a score. Arkansas State now 3-4 with a 15-14 road win at South Alabama. Redwoods were inefficient through the air and rushed for 158 yards for 4.9 yards a carry. They limited the Jaguars' passing attack and allowed 175 yards rushing for 4.9 yards per rush. Jalen Rayner in the game, 29 of 45 passing for 209 yards with a touchdown and pick. He rushed for 76 yards. Arkansas State 2-1 at home with a home loss by 8 to Iowa State and cover. Georgia Southern 0-3 on the road and blown out in every game here. They have a recent loss by 25 at James Madison. The Panthers on the road allowing nearly 8 yards per rush, 9.7 yards per pass attempt, and 595 yards a game. Arkansas State at home getting great play at quarterback. Georgia Southern 0-7 the spread on the road After a home win, Arkansas State 2-0 to the spread at home, facing teams that allow 200 yards rushing per game or greater. Pick here Arkansas State minus 1.5. Boston College and Louisville going off here on Saturday. All right, we've got Boston College 1-6 after a 38-23 home defeat to Connecticut. The Eagles had movement in the passing game and rushed for 191 yards for 3.9 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Huskies to 3.4 yards per rush with 362 yards passing for 11.7 yards per pass attempt. Grayson James here, 16-28 passing for 204 yards with 2 touchdowns. Louisville 5-1, a 24-21 road win at Miami. The Cardinals moved the ball through the air and rushed for 119 yards for 3.8 yards per rush. On defense, they limited the Hurricanes' ground attack and allowed 271 yards passing for 7.7 yards per pass attempt. Miller Moss here, 23 of 37 passing for 248 yards with 2 touchdowns. All 3 Louisville games in the conference have been decided by 1 possession. BC on the road completing 66% of their passes for 304 yards per game. The Cardinals at home in conference rushing for 2.9 yards a carry with 6.9 yards per pass attempt. BC 4-1 to the spread on the road on field turf. Pick here Boston College plus 25.5. Michigan and Michigan State going off here on Saturday night. Michigan now 5-2 with a 24-7 home victory against Washington. The Wolverines had movement in the passing game and rushed for 187 yards for 4.7 yards a carry. On defense, they held the Huskies to 1.8 yards per rush with 209 yards passing for 6.5 yards per pass attempt. Bryce Underwood here, 21-27 passing for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. Michigan State now 3-4 with a 38-13 road defeat at Indiana. The Spartans were able to move the ball through the air and rush for 74 yards for 3.1 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 4.7 yards per rush to the Hoosiers with 332 yards passing for nearly 12 yards per pass attempt. Aiden Childs, 27 of 33 passing for 243 yards with a touchdown and 48 on the ground. Michigan on the road has rushed well but got really bad quarterback play. On defense on the road, they're giving up 281 yards passing for 71% completion rate. Michigan State putting up 30 points per game with 4.3 yards per rush and 7 yards per pass attempt on their home field. They have defended the run well at home. Pick here Michigan State plus 14.5. Colorado State and Wyoming for Saturday. Colorado State fell to 2-5 with their 31-19 home defeat to Hawaii. The Rams were limited through the air and rushed for 85 yards for 2.5 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 435 yards to the Warriors with poor work against the run and pass. Jackson Brousseau, 15-29 passes for 176 yards with a touchdown. Wyoming now 3-4 with a 24-21 road defeat to Air Force. Cowboys rushed for 198 yards for 5.5 yards a carry. Defensively, they limited the Falcons' air attack and allowed 330 yards rushing for 5.9 yards per carry. Caden Anderson, 23 of 29 passes for 211 yards with a touchdown and pick. Cowboys have a 7-point home win against San Jose State. The Rams on the road allowing nearly 6 yards a carry with 11.5 yards per pass attempt. They struggled with quarterback accuracy on the road. The Cowboys hold opponents at home to 5.4 yards per pass attempt. Colorado State 3-5 the spread on the road against the Mountain West. Cowboys 4-1 to the spread at home against losing teams. Pick here Wyoming minus 4.5. Texas A&M and LSU. This one going off on Saturday. We've got Texas A&M now 7-0 after their 45-42 road victory at Arkansas. The Aggies gained 497 yards with really strong running and passing. Defensively, they allowed 527 yards to the Razorbacks by poorly defending the run and pass. Marcel Reed here, 23 of 32 passes for 280 yards with 3 touchdowns. He rushed for 55 yards and a score. LSU now 5-2 with a 31-24 road defeat at Vanderbilt. The Tigers rushed for nearly 5 yards a carry and had movement in the passing game. They allowed 239 yards rushing to the Commodores for 5.3 yards a carry and 160 passing yards for 7.3 yards per pass attempt. Garrett Nussmeier here, 19-28 passes for 225 yards and 2 touchdowns. LSU's losses all came on the road. Texas A&M gave up 42 at Arkansas. and 40 at Notre Dame. They are allowing nearly 6 yards per rush with 276 passing yards for 8.5 yards pass attempt away from home. LSU at home is getting really good quarterback play and has defended well. Texas A&M 1-5 to the spread as a road favorite. Pick here LSU plus 2.5. Tennessee and Kentucky going off on Saturday. We got Tennessee dropping to 5-2 after a 37-20 road defeat to Alabama. The Volunteers were inefficient in the passing game and rushed for 142 yards for 4.3 yards a carry. On defense, they allowed 3.8 yards a carry with 253 passing yards for 8.7 yards per pass attempt. Joey Aguilar here, 28-44 passing for 268 yards and a touchdown and pick. Kentucky 2-4 with a 16-13 home overtime defeat to Texas. The Wildcats had movement in their passing game and rushed for 137 yards for 3 yards a carry. They limited the Longhorns' run and pass. Cutter Boley, 31-39 passing for 258 yards with a pick. He rushed for 45 yards and a score. The Vols have failed to cover both road games. The Wildcats have covered both home games against the SEC. Tennessee here on the road is allowing 35 points per game with 7.5 yards per pass attempt. The Wildcats defense at home allowing 3.2 yards a carry with 6 yards per pass attempt. Pick here Kentucky plus 9. Houston and Arizona State going off on Saturday. Houston now 5-2 with a 31-28 home victory against Arizona. The Cougars rushed for 232 yards for 5.2 yards a carry. On defense, they limited the Wildcats on the ground but allowed 269 yards passing for 10.3 yards per pass attempt. Connor Wegman in the game, 15-23 passing for 164 yards with 3 touchdowns. He rushed for 98 yards and a score. Arizona State 5-2 with their 26-22 home victory against Texas Tech. The Sun Devils were held to 2.1 yards per rush, but were successful in the passing game. They allowed 4 yards per rush to the Red Raiders with 167 yards passing for 4.4 yards per pass attempt. That was facing a backup quarterback. Sam Levitt here, 28-47 passing for 319 yards and a score. Houston has won each of their 3 road games, but this is a test away from home here, the major one. ASU nearly lost to the Red Raiders at home with a backup at quarterback for Texas Tech. The Cougars are getting good quarterback play on the road and defend well. ASU at home running for just 3.6 yards a carry. Pick here will be Houston plus 7.5. Colorado and Utah going off here on Saturday. We got Colorado now 3-4 after a 24-17 home victory against Iowa State. The Buffs rushed for 140 yards for 3.6 yards a carry with excellent quarterback play. They allowed 236 yards rushing to the Cyclones for 6.4 yards per rush and 205 passing yards, 6.2 yards per pass attempt. Caden Salter here, 16-25 passing for 255 yards with 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 57 yards. Utah now 5-2 with a 24-21 road defeat to BYU. The Utes rushed for 226 yards for 6 yards a carry with really good yardage in the passing game. They allowed 202 yards rushing to the Cougars for 4.8 yards a carry, 7 yards per pass attempt. Devin Dampier here, 20-36 passing for 244 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. He did run the ball for 64 yards. Colorado 0-2 on the road with losses by 14 and 16 points. Colorado on the road has not been efficient in the passing game, and on defense allowing 67% completion rate for 8.7 yards per pass attempt. Utah at home rushing for 5.5 yards a carry and getting good work at quarterback. Plus they're defending well there. Utah 3-1 to the spread at home when they're lying between 7.5 and 14 points. Pick here Utah minus 13.5. For more free pick videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Lots of free picks on our channel from myself and our team of cappers here at Tony'sPicks.com, making this a great platform, a great channel to subscribe to. Hit us up with that like, that thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Then visit our site, Tony'sPicks.com, for our best bets of premium plays are there. And remember our promo code TonyT at checkout to knock off that 15%. That's going to do it for now. I'm Tony T, and we'll talk with you guys later.